Ben Shapiro freaking out over gay people again. Nice.
Well, it was a historic day.
Yeah, he took a big L. He took a big L on like the symbolic representation for like gay parents or like, you know, gay couples. So he's just supposed to lose his mind over it. What else is he supposed to do? Here it is. When Biden says that the Respect for Marriage Act is a vital step, he means that this is only the beginning of the slippery slope. Bro, don't give the game away by openly showing exactly what logical fallacy you are doing by adding the logical fallacy into the argument. Like he just basically said like, well, it's like strawmanning someone and then being like, I'm strawmanning them. Mr. Facts over feelings, Mr. Logic over here, literally being like, it's the beginning of a slippery slope. Yeah, really, dude? Is that what's going on? Man can marry dog now. In 2006, he said a constitutional amendment to protect traditional marriage was unnecessary. Everyone, he said, agreed that marriage was one man and one woman. 12 years later, he said that if you don't believe that, you're a bigot, racist, a homophobe, and a transphobe. I mean, it's true. He's really spitting now. The agenda is not the legal formalization of same-sex monogamous relationships. It is to use the government to obliterate traditional values and intermediary societal institutions that embody them. This is why Biden made transing the kids a part of his speech yesterday. So here's the thing. This is not like a successful take. It's just not. No. Like there's too many gay people. The cat's out of the fucking bag, brother. Like there's gay conservatives in his circle, in his orbit. It's just, he's just like railing against, in an increasingly unhinged way. He's railing against like fucking gay people and shit. They just want to get married. It's crazy. He can't be the anti-abortion guy anymore and the gay stuff doesn't hit the same. Yeah. But that's why they're doing something that's why they're doing something worse. It's not enough to just be like, I'm homophobic and that's why I don't think gay people should get married. He has to fucking say something insane and unhinged to make it seem like it's valid. His fears are actually valid, which is why he's stating that gay people are grooming your children, and that's what like Joe Biden wants to do. It's why he's lumping together interracial marriage and same-sex marriage. The purpose is to delegitimize traditional values. Wait, by the way, you know, not that long ago, interracial marriage was also attacked on that same principle, by the way. You know, they said that it was it went against God and the traditional values, so it is the same take. The purpose is to delegitimize traditional values and the natural belief in the superiority of male-female dyads or sex distinctions generally. Like, no, it's not traditional. It's not superior. That is made up. There is only evidence to the contrary. That's made up. He made that up. Doesn't matter. Facts over feelings, guy. No facts there. The real fact of the matter is that two parents, regardless of sex, lead to better outcomes for the child's development, regardless of what the sex is of the parents, regardless of what their sexuality is, regardless of what their gender is. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is having disposable income. What matters is having enough free time. And that's what two parents offer over single parent households. That's it. As long as there are two parents, your child is going to have the same kind of development. That's it. The end goal, a national state that stands for the good as the God of new moral system and atomize individuals without recourse to intermediary institutions or community or civil society. Thus will a new, better form of humanity bloom, rooted in our cult of expressive individualism. In short, when people like Biden say they aren't coming after your kids' education, how you raise your kids in your home, your church, your business, don't believe them. They were lying in 2006 and they're lying now. It's just every part of this is bullshit. There is no evidence that suggests what Ben Shapiro is stating as though it's factually correct. That's the problem. Do you understand? But he's still making that shit up.
Joe Biden signed what the Washington Post is calling a landmark bill to protect same-sex and interracial marriages. Now, you thought that interracial marriage has not been a big deal in the United States for approximately 50, maybe 60 years. And you'd be right. The whole purpose of shoving interracial marriage into the same-sex marriage bill was to pretend that if you oppose same-sex marriage, it is the same thing as if you oppose interracial marriage, that racism and quote-unquote homophobia, that these are all the same phenomenon, that really it's all about bigotry and evil. That's the reason why they shoved all of this into the same bill, so that if you voted against the federal enshrinement of same-sex marriage, then you were also voting against federal enshrinement of interracial marriage, right? It's a particularly vicious and stupid game. But Joe Biden was out there celebrating this. They had a star-studded event with music and wonderful guests. We'll get to some of their guests in just a little while because these really are the crew.
Dude, he's so mad. He's so mad. I mean, this is kind of fun to watch. Like, yeah, it's like the bare minimum that the Democrats did, and it still was able to like trigger the fuck out of Ben Shapiro.
And so I think that it's important to note here that what we saw yesterday at the White House is the beginning. It is not the end. Everybody who's pretending that this was the end point of the same-sex marriage movement, that the end point of the LGBTQ minus plus divided by sign movement is going to be same-sex marriage is dead wrong. And Joe Biden said that out loud yesterday. And it is very clear that the goal here, the goalposts keep moving. They keep moving because in the end, what the LGBTQ plus minus divided by a sign movement is about is not merely the idea that they should be able to live the lives that they want without being bothered in the privacy of their own homes. The idea is that the ideology that undergirds their belief system must be imposed on you. You as a religious person in your daily life, you in your schools, you in your churches. The notion that this is going to stop is just a lie. It is not true. And you can say a lot of things about same-sex relationships, but it is very difficult to claim they have the same societal value as traditional male-female dyads producing children, which is what the institution of marriage is predicated upon. The institution of marriage is just an enshrinement of the simple biological fact that men and women combine to create children and then raise those children. That is all that marriage is. You can pretend that other forms of relationship are equivalent. You can pretend that other forms of relationship have similar societal value. They do not. So a lot of people say, well, no, hold up just a minute. But the case that the left made on this was that marriage really isn't about the production of children. It's really not about creating family units. Marriage is just about who you love. And once they had redefined that, and they'd actually done this well in advance of same-sex marriage,
I mean, marriage as a concept is a social contract that is enforced by the state, that's totally created by the state. It's just like so incredibly strange to act like it's this natural phenomena that's naturally occurring phenomena, especially when you like appeal to nature. You realize that like nature is gay as fuck too. It's especially gay. Nature is trans as fuck too. Odd that like Ben would try to make this concept work, but marriage is an institution. The claim that like also marriage is about like children, I don't know what to tell you. Like there are couples who can't have children. You know what I mean? There are male and female bonding couples that also can't have kids. So what's up with that? They just can't they're just not supposed to be married.
Marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman.
That was Joe Biden in 2006. It is now 2022. 16 years is not all that long a time. And now Joe Biden is on the lawn at the White House celebrating same-sex marriage being enshrined into federal law without proper protections for people who disagree that same-sex marriage is on the same moral par as traditional marriage. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. Is it not? And it suggests that when people like Joe Biden say in 2006 that same-sex marriage is not on the table, they are lying to you. They are not telling you the truth. And when they deny outright that, for example, that when they say, we're not coming after your religious community, we're not coming after...
Like, I don't even think, like, it's not like Joe Biden had a change of heart or anything. It just became, like, the politically fashionable thing to advocate for. And that's pretty much it. But also, why are you still bent about it? Because Ben Shapiro himself, on the Joe Rogan Experience, routinely fucking talked about how when everyone was forced into submission by big LGBTQ, Ben also made it seem like he wasn't homophobic. That has changed. If you look at, like, 2016 Ben, even he had like lib ass takes on gay marriage because there were like the gays, the fucking gays for Trump movement, and like it was not even a thing that people could talk about because everybody understood, yeah, it's perfectly valid for two people to get married and have the state recognize their legal marriage. Oh, like if we're gonna go back and account for people's sentiments from 16 years ago, back then Ben literally was talking about Ben himself. If you look at Ben Shapiro's own personal work in the early 2000s, Ben was literally fucking writing about how, you know, you turn homosexual by taking an English class.
We are not atomized individuals in the world. We are part of families. We are part of communities. We are part of things larger than ourselves. And that thing can't just be Joe Biden at the White House celebrating as the height of American life, radical individual autonomy. That is not enough. That cannot support a durable society. That's been the case that the left's been making for a very, very long time, is that the durable...
I don't get it. Why is Ben all of a sudden a rugged collectivist when he's talking about like what societal rules everybody should follow? I thought he wanted radical individual autonomy for Americans. I thought that was at the heart of Americanism, being an American. Am I crazy?
The most durable or important form of society is the one where there are no standards and no rules, except for a society that mirrors back at you what you are feeling at any given moment. That is not a society. That is a chaotic, anarchic, bizarre amalgamation of chaotic tyranny.
It's so weird.
Tyranny on the one.
2019 Ben should have a conversation with 2022 Ben about how he's not a theocratic fascist. And of course he believes that like gay people could get married from a legal standpoint, but like he has a moral issue with it or something.
It's almost an anarchic tyranny. Like on the very local level, it's anarchy because you don't have any intermediate institutions. And on the national level, it's tyranny to enforce the anarchy, to obliterate all of those intermediate institutions. That is really what this is about. Again, this is why he keeps saying this is a first step. So Joe Biden says, by the way, there is nothing more decent, more dignified, or more American than two dudes getting married or two ladies getting married and forcing people of traditional bent to bow to their whims.
When a person can be married in the morning and thrown out of a restaurant for being gay in the afternoon, this is still wrong. Wrong. And that's why the people you heard speak today continue to fight to pass the Equality Act.
Okay, the Equality Act goes way further than what exactly was in the same-sex marriage bill. The Equality Act basically obliterates all individual rights in the name of the government telling you that you have to abide by Joe Biden's view of same-sex marriage or gender identity or sexual orientation. By the way, this is
Like, ideology aside, conservatives are they're so annoying. Even if we for a second forget about like the impact, like the human impact of like following through on their policy proposals are, with respect to undermining civil liberties and stuff, their entire worldview revolves around being a fucking nuisance. Like, I can't be happy if someone else out there is being happy. It's like such a weird complaint, you know what I mean? And even if you were to flip the script and be like, well, liberals do that too, it's like, well, okay, what is giving you happiness? Being racist to fucking marginalized communities? Because like then you are a piece of shit. It's like it's so weird that even if you look at this like weird, arbitrary, incomplete left-right dichotomy, it's always like people on supposedly on the left or ostensibly on the left, like they're looking to open up more civil liberties and rights for marginalized communities, and then people who are ostensibly on the right, or those who call themselves centrists but are actually on the right, their entire worldview revolves around like, you're giving them civil liberties, that's hurting me, it's like, why why do you care? It's not like they're coming over to suck your dick, dude. Nobody wants that. Okay, your wife doesn't even want to suck your cock, Ben. Like, why is that? Why is this? Why is endlessly pestering people who just want to live their fucking lives the way of the right? Like, why is that every fucking piece of tangible legislative goal that they have? It's so strange. Like, when gay people get married, that doesn't mean straight people are now not allowed to get married. No one's doing that, okay? The left is not the same as the right. It's so strange that they do the same thing with abortion. It's like, if someone has the capacity to get this medical procedure, an abortion, that doesn't mean women who don't want to get an abortion are going to be forced at gunpoint to get an abortion. And yet they make it seem like that is the case. It's like, oh, well, someone's out there getting an abortion. That means my wife is going to be forced at gunpoint to get an abortion. Someone's out there getting gay married. That means these homosexuals are going to come suck my cock too. I'm going to get gay married now, hypothetically. It's like, no, it's just other people's shit. Why are you so bent? Why are you so fucking mad? So even when you like remove the policy and the human consequences of said policy, and you just look at it as like a negative rule or a positive one, it's like everything that conservatives and the conservative worldview revolves around is always like, well, you're doing violence to me by, doing whatever the fuck you want to do. When it's like, no, they're not.
The targeting will not stop because until all of society mirrors the individual sexual preference of people on the left, all of society must be reshaped, and all of those institutions must be torn down, and individuals must be bulldozed. Individual rights must be bulldozed. Again, I'm going to say it 1,000 times because it's still true. There is no end to this slippery slope. The right moderates in America, they keep thinking, okay, if we just feed this alligator to this point, it will stop. It's not going to stop. It's going to get a lot more radical. And it's not just going to be about the obliteration of the institutions that you rely upon, the institutions that teach your kids, the obliteration of your morality. It's going to be about the obliteration of gender as well. And Joe Biden, in the middle of the speech celebrating same-sex marriage, for example, he decided to link together many, many different things that are not the same. So he says that racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, and transphobia are all connected. So in other words, the same sort of person who opposes same-sex marriage must hate Jews.
What's this argument, dog? Like, you're like, no, I just hate gays. I don't hate Jews. Like, is that what you're saying? Listen, get it right. I personally only hate trans people, not Jews. It's just weird that other people who hate trans people also seem to hate Jews, as we found out from the latest Kanye West saga. But, that's always going to be forever a surprise to me because I refuse to recognize that there is this connection of hate and bigotry. It's intersectional.
The same sort of person who does not believe that children should be trans, that you shouldn't be giving 6-year-old hormone treatments and 16-year-olds breast removals, that is the sort of person who hates black people. This is just nonsense. The only thing holding together the intersectional coalition is opposition to traditional values and traditional institutions. That's the only...
I love Ben Shapiro fucking riding. He's literally just like, listen, some homophobes are anti-Semitic, but not all homophobes are anti-Semitic. There's a distinction.
That's the only way you can even make sense of what Joe Biden is saying right here. It's so nonsensical.
Racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, they're all connected. But the antidote to hate is love. This law and the love it defends strike a blow against hate in all its forms.
By the way, if you disagree with him, you're hateful and he hates you and you should be destroyed. That's the kind of love he means. It's smiley face fascism, right? You put a heart on it. And then
yeah, fascists notoriously love gay people and trans people.
It's really nice. It's love, guys. It's love. When he walks into your church and says that you need to do things the way he wants you to do them. When he walks into your business, because it turns out that religious people are religious throughout their lives, not just at church. When he walks into your business and demands that you celebrate particular types of activity that you find to be sinful or wrong, then that's a form of love, according to Joe Biden. He makes this clear, by the way. If you say you should not perform mutilating surgery on 15-year-old girls who wrongly believe they are boys, this means that if he says that we have to compel...
That's crazy, because it didn't seem like Joe Biden said that at all. I'm no big city lawyer, but it didn't seem like Brandon was saying that.
Compel you to do those things. That we have to punish you for saying, for example, that a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. Then that's a form of love. The highest form of love is Joe Biden and the state cudgeling you into acceptance of the new morality. Which is why Joe Biden in the middle... Again, this is an event celebrating same-sex marriage, right? Theoretically, it should have nothing whatsoever to do with transgenderism. These are two very separate issues. I know many, many gay men and women who are married and who also oppose the transing of the kids. These are not related issues unless you actually believe that all of it is directed toward the destruction of something else. It's unity in an attempt to destroy.
I love that he says these are not related issues and then turns around and relates them. He's like, these are not related issues unless they are, but they're related because the underlying goal is destroying Western society. Like, you're the one who's relating them, bro. What the fuck?
The answer is because there's an underlying ideology there which says that sex, like biological sex, is of no consequence whatsoever. It's true in marriage and it's true on the individual level, according to Joe Biden. Here we go.
We need to challenge the hundreds of callous and cynical laws introduced in the states targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors who give children the care they need. We have to protect these children so they know they're loved.
Okay, what exactly does this have to do with anything? What does it have to do with same-sex marriage? It has nothing to do with it, except, again, that this is the first step. What we're watching here is just another step. That's slippery.
It's almost like you originally in 2019 said things like, oh, gay marriage is fine, just the trans people I don't care for. And now you're saying, oh shit, gay marriage is not fine either. It's almost like there is a level of bigotry that is like kind of acceptable, like overt bigotry that's kind of acceptable and normalized in society that Ben is very aware of. And because Joe Biden is also aware of that, everyone is aware of that. Anyone who pays attention to politics is aware of this, that in order to ensure that civil liberties are not further undermined, they wanted to codify this. Maybe that's the reason why they did it. Like, especially so, if it was completely irrelevant, if it was completely silly, if it was just like nonsensical, if it was nothing, Ben wouldn't cut 30 to 40 minutes of it, right? If it's nothing, if it's irrelevant, then why are you so bent? Why are you so fucking bent out of shape?
There is no bottom to the slippery slope that we are now on, societally speaking. And Joe Biden is making that perfectly clear. And they made this perfectly clear in who they decided to invite to this event. So Karine Jean-Pierre, the world's most untalented press secretary, she was saying yesterday that extreme conservatives are going to attack the Respect for Marriage Act, but they're going to tell you have to be an extreme conservative to believe that traditional marriage is the basis for human civilization. You have to be a crazy person, basically, to think man, woman, child is the basis for functional civilizations. You see how far we've come in 16 short years?
I mean, yeah, and I think it was silly back then, and it's silly now to advocate for such a thing. I mean, primitive accumulation was longer.
And that's an amazing statement. You're an extreme conservative now. If you believe the same thing that Barack Obama said he believed in 2011, right? It's now 2022. Haven't been that long. but you're an extreme conservative nut job.
Oh, God. It's just like they're two sides of the same coin. Barack Obama didn't give a fuck about gay people one way or the other in 2007. He was just going along with what is considered to be politically fashionable at the time. Just like Ben has always hated gay people. I'm fairly certain that Barack Obama probably didn't fucking hate gay people in 2007. It's the same exact principle. Ben knows it so well because he abides by it. Ben was always anti-gay marriage, wrote about it extensively, and then there was a period of time where he shut the fuck up about it. Like when he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and said, oh, well, you know, I'm not a theocratic fascist, as I showed you earlier. It's about what is deemed acceptable because these people are political demons, okay? Unlike myself, a person who gets routinely punished for having consistent takes that some find unfavorable. A person who sometimes will get things wrong and will openly admit that they got something wrong and will apologize and move on. That's the difference between someone like myself and someone like Ben. Ben reads the room and reassesses and tries to fucking cut his commentary on what is deemed acceptable to the masses. That's the difference. And he's like shitting on Barack Obama for that lack of consistency or shitting on fucking Joe Biden for that lack of consistency, but he himself has done it as well. They're doing the same bullshit. They're doing the same fucking bullshit. He's criticizing Barack Obama and Joe Biden, but he believes the same. He's just on the other side and he's doing the exact same thing, but on the other side.
And what society really ought to celebrate is, again, that interior sense of sexual authenticity that makes you you, the most important thing about you. That's the thing we have to glorify here in the United States, which is the only reason why you would invite a non-binary drag queen named Marty G. Cummings to the White House, complete with pictures of erect penises. This is the person that the White House invited to celebrate. It was very important the White House invited this person to celebrate because, again, it's not just that all monogamous relationships are the same. It's that all sexual activity is the same. All forms of sexual authenticity are the same. And your children must be taught this. They must be taught this in schools. Why do you think that Joe Biden and the NEA are so insistent that laws like Florida's, which say that you are not allowed to teach sexual orientation and gender identity nonsense to 5-year-old children? Why do you think the White House opposes that exactly? Why is the White House against it? Seems like
I don't know, maybe because like that's a thing that exists in the real world and no one would ever oppose like heteronormative relationships being taught in school. But the reason why you oppose the other thing is because you're just personally against it. It's just a reality. I mean, getting mad at that is just getting mad at like reality being taught in school. You are offended by reality and you don't want it being taught in school. That's it.
Pretty common sense sort of thing. Turns out a majority of Democrats support that law in the state of Florida. And nationwide, by the way, by polling data. But the left opposes that because, again, the idea is that all of the institutions of life crimp your style. And so we must teach children. It's important to teach children, to indoctrinate children in the same sort of idea.
Ben is actually right. A baker should be allowed to refuse service to a gay couple. The same way Home Depot should have refused to sell Ben a plank of wood off the basis of how it's morally wrong to imply a Goomba of his stature does any handiwork. Except gay people definitely eat cake. Whereas Ben definitely never used that wooden plank. You know what I mean? That was very funny though. Good job.
He is promoted by Marty G. Cummings. That is the way that we will all be truly free in the future. Here is Marty G. Cummings in a video that is pure nightmare fuel.
I like big.
This person is invited to the White House.
I want a thick.
Very important. This is the best America has to offer. Invited to the White House.
I don't get it. What, did they do that at the White House? That'd be kind of funny. Did they do that song and dance at the White House? Because that would be fucking awesome. Imagine Brandon having a fucking aneurysm. Donald Trump literally said you can grab him by the pussy and he became president. He also had like Kid Rock and Ted Nugent in the White House. They've said way worse shit. Kid Rock wants to fuck 14-year-olds, dude. Like Kid Rock has songs about having sex with underage women, underage girls. And he was in the fucking White House.
I don't want your drink. I want your dick.
How delightful.
To have sex with a different guy each week.
That's kind of funny though. Like these guys are the groomers, you know what I mean? Not Kid Rock or Ted Nugent. People who have had sex with minors or have talked about having sex with minors and wrote songs about having sex with minors. Like those guys aren't the groomers though because they're straight. Yeah, Kid Rock literally said, some say it's statutory. I say it's mandatory. That's a real Kid Rock lyric from Osmosis Jones. Wonderful movie.
There's only one reason that the White House would do this. I didn't say that this person should go to the White House. Joe Biden said this person should go to the White House. Of course, this follows hard on 4 weeks ago, Joe Biden having over to the White House Dylan Mulvaney, a man who says that he is a woman, dressed up in the most garish outfit, and sitting across from him explaining to this...
Bro, if you use the word garish, you're literally 3 steps removed from sucking a cock when you're describing an outfit. I'm sorry. That's fucking fruity. That's fruity as hell, bro. It's such a garish outfit. Come on, dude.
This man who decided he was a woman approximately 1 year ago, that he is a perfect exemplar of womanhood. This is part and parcel of a broader agenda, and that broader agenda obviously has to do with kids. By the way, it is worth noting here that this Marty G. Cummings character also happens to be a drag queen who performs in front of children and then celebrates performing in front of children. In fact, just last year, this person did a drag show in front of small children and tweeted out,
Not large children, but small children.
Logan was one of the kids who came out to celebrate Pride at Queens Botanical Garden. He was so excited and said he wants to perform with us next year. The kid is maybe 5. Obviously, this has to do with the children. It's the only reason why, again, the Biden administration is attempting to lump all of this together. They don't have to lump all of this together. This is not the end point. This is only the beginning. And when I warn that, people on the left immediately say, slippery.
Shut up, dude. You're a Disney adult. Like, you literally made your children watch every drag queen villain that Disney has to offer until you decided that Disney's actually, making protagonists that are also gay. Okay? You don't get to speak about this drag performance in front of children. It's theater. Shut the fuck up.
Slope argument. Well, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I've been arguing since the mid-2000s that it was moving in this direction. And it turns out that you have justified every fear that traditionally religious and people of traditional values have had for 30 years in this country, 40, 50 years in this country. You've justified all of that by continuing to move along this line. And then when you say it's the end point, again, the idea is we don't believe you. Why should we believe you? I see no reason to believe you exactly. Put aside the federal level, what you're going to get at the state level is places like California that will indeed pursue attempts to get rid of nonprofit status for churches and synagogues, that will attempt to de-accredit institutions of education that do not teach the value.
I mean, there's plenty of churches and synagogues in places like California that unironically are very open towards gay people and very accepting towards gay people. But I do think that, first of all, they should do that regardless. Like, I think that why are churches a nonprofit? Like, I mean, why are churches non-taxable? Like, I do think that they should just do that to even churches that are welcoming and acceptable, or welcoming and accepting or whatever. But I think they should start by taxing the motherfuckers who aren't in order to get everybody in line, and then boom, across the board, tax every church. I'm actually 100% an advocate for taxing all places of worship.
Values that the left wants taught to discredit homeschooling, to make it impossible to homeschool your
I'm bored. This is whack, dude. It's just not good. He literally said the left wants us to treat homophobes and transphobes to be treated as we treat racists. Lol. Amazing realization, Ben. Yeah.